It was at a revival screening of Equus that long repressed memories reduced me to tears in the back row of the Egyptian. Ordeal, defeat, and a horse named Hugo. Had it even happened? About 20 years ago, my mind turned to horse breeding. John Derrick, my neighbor at the time, had a filly of racing stock. Derrick said I could have a crack at his mare if I came up with a decent pedigree, so I laid out $250,000 for Hugo, a roan stallion with a twinkle in his eye and a promised spermatozoal yield in the trillions. I brought my boy over, and Derrick and I stood back and awaited the bleachy stench of romance. And that's where this story goes from Anna Sewell to Flannery O'Connor. The short of it, so to speak, my racehorse could show but not place. My so-called stud couldn't get it all the way up. Hugo had whiskey dick. After a prolonged soft serve, Derrick turned to me, and so did his mare. He said we could try again, his voice laced with pity and superiority, as if this nag's limp shank reflected on my own masculinity. I found no pertinent information in the pages of Horse Fancy. What I needed was a dispassionate outlook on the masculine psyche. So I called Sigrid, an East German madam I met during pre-production on an aborted Sam Fuller film about the Battle of Berlin. I don't recall how Sigrid's brothel factored in. When I told her it was about a horse, she neither hesitated nor stuttered. The sexual predilections of the Hun respect no borders. Doubt me? Here's a fun game. Pass out in an alley in Hamburg, and in the morning try to guess the number of ways you've been violated. Sigrid gave me some pointers. I knew what had to be done. I dug under my bed and found my love kit, a dusty artifact from the 70s, quaint and smelling faintly of strawberries. As I sifted through, each item brought back fond nostalgia of youth, college sweethearts, and the anus. Back at Derrick's place, I asked for some privacy. Within 3 minutes, I'm tickling Hugo's rectum with an ostrich feather while I whisper soothing words into his ear. There's a good horse. Such a big, pretty horse. Then I bust out the Astroglide. Oh. As I mentioned, I spent $250 large. It was like trying to work a kink out of a deli salami. I'm pumping away, working up a hell of a lather, sweat dripping from my brow. I thought about Stephen Decatur swinging his saber off the coast of Tripoli. He did what he had to do. I kept up the sweet talk. My pretty pony, my pretty pony, my pretty pony. Picture a glorious equine orgy of lady horses and apples and hay. Does little hussy want to ejaculate? They're at the gate, and they're off. Come, you bastard! Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Just a tired hand and a nagging feeling like no one asked me to dance. I got back on the phone. As I iced my sore shoulder and knocked back some scotch, Sigrid told me stories. Anecdotes gathered from the drain traps of a Berliner cat house. I felt a black gulf open up at my feet as I stood at the lip of a slick, bottomless well, penetrating the lowest stratum of human degradation. Even through the fear and nausea, I was as erect as a brown-nosed plebe at snap inspection. I was ready. The next day I made it as clear as a man can to a horse. It was now or never. Derrick's mare no longer mattered. It was the principle. I was going to make Hugo come, do, or die. What happened that day is between Hugo and me. I had never shared and probably will never share such intimacies with any other creature, including any of my wives. And all for nothing. We'd run the derby but got no roses. Not even a cold cup of Pergoo. I put Hugo down with both barrels of my antique Beretta 12-gauge. As a custodian of nature, it was my solemn duty. I recently visited Hugo's neglected grave. I knocked the leaves off his stone and quietly sang, You know, I can't let you slide through my hands. Wild horses couldn't drag me away. Wild, wild horses couldn't drag me away.